Glimpse of a fading moon in the dawning sky. Part 5. Emeravwe. Dana called to a freckled pink-clad girl on a patio as she and Emeravwe climbed the steps. Emeravwe turned to see Dana approaching. "Oh, Dana, good morning." Dana freed her hand from Emeravwe's, and the two girls greeted one another. They curtsied briefly as they placed cupped hands before their chests. Straightening from the greeting, Dana looked around the patio bustling with girls. "Where is Mudiaga? Have the Aganaye been left in charge of the Omote again?" Emeravwe nodded, sighing heavily. "It is true everyone is busy because of the Oroge's coronation, but it is really because of that horrible affair 4 months ago that the palace is still so—" Emeravwe. Dana interjected reproachfully. "You know the Queen Dowager has forbidden anyone from speaking of that incident. You will find yourself in the Bureau of Corrections if anyone overhears." Emeravwe's hand flew to her mouth. Her eyes darted quickly up and down the patio. She hastened to say, the ministries and offices of the palace are still in disarray, so that I have left us in charge of the Omote. What is the matter?" Dana pushed Emeravwe forward as if eager to stir the conversation in a different direction. "The Rodeye have sent this girl to be trained as a palace maiden. She is to be an Omote." Emeravwe's eyes bulged, finally noticing Emeravwe. "A valued child!" At her exclamation, the girls on the patio looked up. Some rushed over to get a better look at Emeravwe and the ruby in her forehead. Seeing the impressive jewel, they too turned to one another with gasps of "a valued child." "What is a valued child?" a small girl in green asked. "A precious child bestowed with a jewel in its forehead when it is born," an older girl in pink explained tartly. "Valued children are actually loved by their parents and do not have to enter the palace to suffer like we do." "What is a valued child doing here?" another girl in pink asked, her voice filled with scorn. "Is she here to taunt us with that gem in her forehead?" Others joined her, voicing their displeasure at Emeravwe's presence among them. Emeravwe shrank from the angry girls, her eyes brimming anew with terrified tears. "Enough!" Emeravwe admonished the girls. "If you but step outside the palace walls, you will find the city is filled with valued children. You yourselves have siblings who are valued. It is us, palace maidens, who are depreciated." She turned a disdainful eye on Emeravwe. "Now, why has such a valued child been lowered to our ranks?" Dana shrugged. "It is the Rodeye's decision. You must honor it." Emeravwe glared. "Wicked girl, you say that so easily because you would not have to suffer her." With a sweet smile, Dana bent her knees, cupping her hands before her. "I shall take my leave of you now." Emeravwe returned the greeting, answering begrudgingly, "May you go in peace." Dana left Emeravwe beset by the glares and whispers of the girls on the patio. She backed herself to the railing, wanting to make herself smaller, invisible. The sting of their scowls made her quake, so she avoided their eyes to abate her fear, but she could not keep the frightened tears from falling. She was alone and afraid, and the throbbing in her head intensified. The way the girls looked at her scared her even more. "All right, get back to work, all of you," Emeravwe ordered the girls. "I want the inner rooms thoroughly cleaned and rearranged by this evening." Slowly, the girls returned to their chores, and Emeravwe turned her attention to Emeravwe. "I know not what family you come from, but here in the Sun's Court you will receive no special treatment because of that jewel in your head. Omote Oluwa," she called to a little girl in green who was stuffing a large sheet into a nearby bin with the help of other girls. The girl rushed over and executed a clumsy greeting. "Yes, Aganaye. Take this girl to the weaver's department and let them know she is a new Omote in training," Emeravwe instructed. "Have her dressed in the proper attire and hurry back." "Yes, Aganaye." The little girl turned to Emeravwe, saying abruptly, "Follow me." Emeravwe remained sobbing on the patio. The girl grabbed her by the arm and pulled her roughly. She took Emeravwe through a maze of buildings and out a different set of gates from those through which she had entered the maiden's compound. Thank you for joining me for this reading. If you enjoyed the story so far, become a supporter by joining me on Patreon. You can gain early access to each new audio chapter as well as get written chapters to read along. You can find me at patreon.com/oroje. Also, be sure to press the subscribe button for more content from this channel. See you at the next chapter.